10 years ago today was the day I committed myself to going after big opportunities, going after the multi-million-dollar deals. My name is Oliver Fernandez. Welcome to The Imperfect Entrepreneur, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. Kids are doing great. They for this past weekend was Easter weekend, and we kept it low key. We actually did a picnic out at the park, and it was so cool just seeing them run around in the park. And baby brother's walking now, so baby brother and sister can play together and have a lot of fun. So it was 10 years ago today where I was like committed myself to being a guy that focused on bigger opportunities. And it doesn't sound like a lot, right? But like, it was such a game changer and a shift in my mindset where I had to let go of the $10, $15, and $35,000 jobs to go after the multi-million-dollar jobs. Why? Because the 10 and the 15 and 35,000 and the 50,000 and the 100,000 and $150,000 jobs, they all take your time too. And they take your time to a point where like you can't go and get $1 million job. And that was a huge shift in my thinking, like I remember the exact moment, and it was like, man, things were tight, man. Like there was Christmases coming and going, and like you're sitting at the table kind of looking around like you couldn't really do anything for anybody because you're hurting because there was money made on those smaller jobs, but it was just enough to survive. There wasn't money in abundance of what I needed in the moment. And those days were crazy. It was like sprinting from one job to the next job to the next job to the next job, trying to keep the team's payroll paid. And it was just so glad that I had that thought process. And it wasn't easy, right? It wasn't easy stopping, because all of a sudden you kind of have to change gears, and the hardest thing that prevents change is the regret of the past and the routine of the present. And I was stuck in that routine of the present, going after those smaller jobs, and they were profitable, but they weren't a game changer in McKinsey's growth pattern. They were more just basically just a cash flow thing where they paid for right now and maybe a week or two in advance, but anything over and above that, get back out there and go find the next job. So it was definitely an interesting experience. So, and I remember, changing that thought process, going after the big jobs and having to basically slow down to speed up. And that process was interesting itself. I had to, start making phone calls to bigger customers, right? I had to start building that pipeline of bigger customers. I had to start making relationships with those bigger customers. And those relationships took time to develop. I mean, that journey from when I made that commitment to when I got my first job was almost I can't even, I'm not 100% sure, but it was about a year. And this game is not even that easy to learn. It's definitely harder to do, right? The harder to stay consistent, but man, it's been worth it to see the impact that I've been able to have on my own life, my family's life, the people that work in McKinsey's life, our customers' life, our clients' life, and know that they have someone that is reliable and accountable and disciplined and just all of those things, and it has an organization that's like that. It's a cool feeling. But that first getting that first project was not easy, right? I didn't really understand how to even go get it. But that's the cool thing about massive action. You take so much action that you get so many things rolling that that one thing stuck, man, and that one job led to the next job, to the next job, and these jobs were bigger jobs. You know, the first one we landed was 500,000. Like, yes, I was shooting for multi-million-dollar jobs, and I landed on a $500,000 job. Like, it wasn't a multi-million, but I took it, right? And there was some money there. Like, it helped us get an office and pay for the office. It helped us, you know, get that one past performance. Then the next job that we landed was an $800,000 job. It wasn't a multi-million-dollar job, but I'd take it, you know, that $800,000 job. We made $200,000-300,000, you know, and it built our past performance. It was like airfield construction. It was a lot of like nuanced things. We built relationships with subcontractors, people that we used over and over and worked with over and over again, that were invaluable in having that relationship and having that past performance with them, and that we know how to execute, we know how to get to the finish line, we're going to pay our bills. All of those things mean the world, especially when you're first getting started. And then the job after that was a $1.6 million job. So that was like another one. I was like, oh, yes, finally, yes. Like, you know, we were shooting for the multi-million-dollar jobs, and like the first two weren't, but like getting my mindset into that space of like, no, I'm not going after these $35,000 jobs. I'm going for something bigger. And then doubling down on it and saying and having to say no. That's the hardest thing for a contractor to do, is to say no. But if you don't say no, then you get stuck in that moment, right? And yes, we could have built a team around it and this and that, but like there's always going to be problems. And I honestly, I wasn't the team builder that I am today. So I didn't know how to structure it properly to bring a team member in there to run that entire smaller job part of the business while not sucking my time back into that part of the business. So, you know, then that you know, getting to that big $1.6 million job, that was the biggest job we had gotten to date. Like, as a one contract, you know, we had gotten some unit price contracts that were bigger than that, but as a single award contract, that was the biggest one to date that we executed on. And there was big rewards. I think we made a couple, you know, $400,000-600,000 on that job. And that was the job that like really allowed us to build out the team. Like, we started hiring full-time superintendents, you know, and these are people that then help do site visits, to help put together prices on other projects, which was helpful, you know. Like, you know, you can't do everything. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. So it was like the initial start of like building a team, and you know, I didn't know what I was doing, you know. We weren't in alignment, you know. Like, the team was good, but there were some things that if I had knew what to do differently, I would have aligned the team better, made sure that we all were pushing towards the same goals and targets. And we had really good people, but like there was just a lot of things looking back that could have been done differently, so that we just had better alignment, you know. Like the daily team meetings, all those things where like you touch base on a daily basis, instead of like having to make one-off phone calls to each superintendent to make sure they're still in the game, they're still excited about the project. You know, it's like, no, let's all jump on this one team meeting call and let's all feed off each other's energy, give some wins, and let's you know, we can dive into deeper conversations that are project specific later. But like this one is just like to make sure everybody's plugged into the game, you know, like a better alignment from like, you know, we all train on card on you. Like if I see team members that are not training on card on you, like I know something's going on for them, you know, like whether life is just getting too fast, or, you know, they're not in the game anymore. They're just like going through the motions, or, you know, something's gotten in their way that they might need some assistance getting over, or just even having someone reach out and say, hey, what's going on, you know? And those are the things that we've used to just get in alignment. They're not big things. They're not like, there's no like big secret there, right? But those are the things that like have morphed our organization from an organization that was out of alignment to an organization that is in alignment, to an organization that didn't know if their team member was in or out, or to an organization that knows where team members are at, and an organization that team members are hitting their personal, professional, and financial goals versus an organization that team members are not hitting their personal, professional, and financial goals. And it was actually, now that I brought up personal, professional, financial goals, it's really cool because now I'm teaching my other team members on how to do personal, professional, financial goals for our new team members that we're building new teams under, right? So we have this director, and they're now doing personal and professional financial goals with the people underneath them. And it's like, oh, it seems like we changed the process. And I was like, no, the process is the same. Like, I don't remember doing this form, because after we do the personal, professional, financial goals, we then transfer all that information to our 101 sheet. So the team member I was talking with was so used to seeing that 101 sheet that they forgot that we did the personal, professional, and financial goal targets. So we went back to that, and I was like, no, we got it. I'll show you. I pulled it up and I showed her, and it was like, you know, like we were walking through it. It's like, here's your personal, here's your professional, here's your financial, and these are like goals that I couldn't even have made up. And I'm like, I told her that, I was like, there's no way I made these goals up. And she's like, oh, you're right. I put that on there. You're right. I see it. And it was like a really cool moment, and it was even an interesting moment for me personally, because now going back and looking at that person's goals when they first came in to what they are now, and you can just see how like streamlined and focused like all of those goals have gotten. Which, you know, like it's like, it kind of reminded me of like when I went back to Syracuse like a couple months ago, and I was talking with one of the recent graduates. Like the goals were everywhere. They were like, you know, I want to be a mom. I want to travel the world. I want to, you know, be have a professional career. So it was like all over the world, all over the spectrum, and you know, like that's kind of how the original goals were. They were just like a little all over the place, where now they're like kind of like funneled in, where there's like this goal, if I hit this goal, then 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 I hit this goal, and it's like you could kind of see some alignment there. So that was really cool there too. So the reason why I want to share this with you is because, you know, when you're in the moment, it's so hard to stop what you're doing to set an attention on something bigger. But oftentimes the reason why we fail in life is not because we aim too high and miss, it's because we aim too low and actually hit. And I heard my mentor say that a couple years ago, and then that was like the shift where I was like, no, I'm going after these big deals. Like I got to go after these big deals. And by going after bigger deals, now all of a sudden you give yourself the resource that you need to be able to scale in life, you know? Like when we made that $500,000 on that $1.6 million job, like think about the resource now that we have to then like double down on the team and like to build out the team and to get an office and to do all the, you know, to go do more networking and to go do more marketing and to do all those things. Whereas like you do these smaller jobs and like, yes, if you do hundreds and thousands of them and you're a great team builder and you can do all that stuff, then maybe you can make it work. But like, however, like, doing a $15,000 job, even if you did made all 15, like depending on how many of those jobs you're doing, like it's hard to really build out the team from that. So like, you know, it can be done because we're doing it with our flooring store, but we're doing like 100 to 200 jobs a month, you know, and like it's a lot of jobs. So like you can't do like one or two or four at the $15,000 a month and think you're going to have the resource that the bigger opportunities can provide for you. So it's just a food for thought. And I just wanted to commemorate this day and basically appreciate my prior self 10 years ago, focusing on the bigger opportunities to developing the skill set, to developing the strategy, to develop then that created the resources to now keep doubling down to now help us get to the next level, which is going to be $100 million. And then as soon as we get to that, like, let's off to $1 billion. Let's roll. So with that, if this is something that you found value in, please let me know in the comments. Like it, and share it with someone that maybe is in construction, that's looking to get started. Maybe they feel stuck in the smaller jobs, and maybe this is the video that inspires them to start going after bigger opportunities, because you're never going to get a bigger opportunity if you don't go after the bigger opportunities, right? And that's the whole trick to it all, right? Like you want a $1 million or a $10 million job, but your actions are only $15,000 and $20,000 actions, right? Like now my thinking is like, how do we get to 10 million? How do we get to $20 million jobs, right? Like we've mastered these $1 to $4 million, $5 million jobs. Now, how do we get to the next level? We're just going to keep doubling down on the team and doubling down on the team till we get to that level. So with that, keep building your legacy. Let's roll.